Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we are definitely not doing a high school English class recap.
Not at all.
We're stripping the paint off one of the most terrifying psychological thrillers ever written. It's a story about a war hero, a secret marriage, and a villain who might just be the most intelligent and destructive sociopath in literary history.
We are talking about William Shakespeare's Othello.
We are.
And it really is the ultimate text on manipulation. I love that we're doing this because, people usually think of Hamlet as the big one.
Right, the tragedy of thought.
Exactly. Hamlet is all about thinking too much. Othello is the polar opposite. It's visceral. It's about feeling too much and, thinking too little. Our mission today is to really look at the mechanics of how trust is dismantled.
Dismantled, that is a key word. Because when you look at the source text, and we've got the full play right here, it is essentially a guide on how to break a human being.
It really is.
You have Iago, the villain, who just systematically takes Othello apart piece by piece, using almost nothing but suggestion. It's like watching a master hacker brute force a password, but, the password is a man's soul.
That's a great analogy. And what's so scary is how simple the tools are. There's no magic spell. There's no army at his back.
Nope.
It's just words.
So let's set the board. We start in Venice, which is important, right?
Yeah.
Venice represents order, law, civilization. But right away we see the cracks. We've got Othello, who is the general of the Venetian army. He's the guy they call when they need to win a war. But he's also a Moor. He's a black man in a very white, very aristocratic society.
And that tension is visible from line 1.
Yeah.
You have Iago and Roderigo, who we'll get to, waking up a senator, Brabantio, in the middle of the night to tell him his daughter, Desdemona, has eloped with Othello.
And the way they do it, it's not, hey, your daughter got married.
They use this beastly, dehumanizing imagery. Iago screams about an old black ram is tupping your white ewe.
It's just vile. They are deliberately trying to trigger this primal racial panic in Brabantio, and it works.
It totally works.
He doesn't just get mad. He assumes it's impossible for his daughter to love Othello naturally. He goes straight to the Duke and accuses Othello of witchcraft. He basically says, you must have drugged her or used some dark magic, because why else would she choose you?
Which sets the stage for one of the most beautiful defenses in all of literature. This is where we see the real Othello, not the monster Iago just described.
Yeah.
He stands before the Senate and says, well, essentially, I didn't use potions. I used stories.
Oh, I love the speech. He talks about his life being sold into slavery, the battles, the entrees vast, and deserts idle. He talks about the cannibals and the anthropophagi men with heads growing beneath their shoulders.
He's painting a picture of a world that these wealthy Venetians have never even imagined.
Right.
Exactly. He says, she loved me for the dangers I had passed, and I loved her that she did pity them. It's a relationship built on language. Othello seduced her with his words, with his narrative.
But here's the tragic foreshadowing. Othello believes that words are sacred, that they carry truth. He doesn't realize that for someone like Iago, words are just weapons.
Yeah.
So let's pivot to that guy. Honest Iago. That's what everyone calls him. It's the play's running gag, except it's not funny, it's terrifying.
Not funny at all.
Iago is the ensign, third in command, and before the plot even really starts, he turns to the audience and admits, I am not what I am.
It's almost a theological rejection of God. God says, I am that I am. Iago says the exact opposite. He is emptiness. He is a void wearing a human mask.
But the big debate, and I know scholars fight about this constantly, is why? Why does he want to destroy Othello? He gives us this whole laundry list of reasons, but they all feel a bit slippery.
That's the motive hunting of a motiveless malignity, as Coleridge called it. Let's look at what Iago claims. First, professional jealousy.
Right.
Othello promoted Michael Cassio to be his lieutenant. And Iago is furious because Cassio is an arithmetician. He's a math guy, a theorist who's never set a squadron in the field.
He's a desk jockey.
Exactly. Iago's the grunt, the experienced soldier, and he got passed over.
Which, is a valid grievance. We've all been there, losing a promotion to the guy with the fancy degree, but no real experience. But then he pivots.
He does.
He starts claiming that Othello slept with his wife, Amelia. He says, twixt my sheets he has done my office.
Right, but does he even believe it? He says, I know not if it be true, but I, for mere suspicion in that kind, will do as if for surety.
That's the terrifying part.
It is. He doesn't need facts. He is willing to burn down the entire world based on a vibe check. It just suggests this deep, consuming nihilism. He hates Othello not for what Othello did, but for what Othello is. Othello has a grace, a certainty, a love that Iago just can't access.
And we can't forget Rodrigo. Iago keeps this guy around like a personal ATM.
Oh yeah, poor Rodrigo.
Rodrigo is in love with Desdemona, and Iago just keeps telling him, put money in my purse. Basically, fund my schemes and I'll get you the girl.
And Rodrigo is so crucial because he shows us how easily Iago can manipulate reality. Rodrigo is the beta test for what Iago is about to do to Othello.
Okay, so the scene shifts. The Turkish fleet gets wrecked by a storm, the war is canceled, and everyone lands in Cyprus. This is a huge shift in atmosphere, right? We're leaving the Order of Venice.
For an island outpost, it's a liminal space. Cyprus is a garrison town. The civil laws of Venice don't apply quite as strongly here. It's the perfect laboratory for Iago.
And his first target isn't Othello.
No, it's the structure around Othello. He goes after Cassio.
The lieutenant. Iago knows Cassio is a lightweight drinker. Cassio literally says, I have very poor and unhappy brains for drinking.
And Iago acts like the frat brother from hell. He pressures him, gets the wine flowing, sings some songs, and gets Cassio completely hammered.
It's classic sabotage. He's not attacking Cassius' skill as a soldier, he's attacking his reputation. He engineers a brawl. He gets Rodrigo to provoke Cassio. Cassio pulls a sword. The governor gets stabbed. It's just chaos.
Total chaos.
And Othello walks in. And this is the moment Othello has to switch from husband to general. He sees his best friend, his lieutenant, causing a riot.
On their honeymoon night, basically.
Yeah, and he cuts him loose. Cassio, I love thee, but nevermore be officer of mine.
And here's the genius of Iago.
Mm-hmm.
If he just wanted the job, he wins right here. Cassio's out. But he doesn't stop.
No.
He goes to the weeping, disgraced Cassio and plays the therapist. He says, look, man, don't worry. You know who controls the general? His wife. Go talk to Desdemona. She's kind. She'll get your job back.
But it's so sick. He's weaponizing Desdemona's kindness. He knows that if Desdemona starts pleading for Cassio, he can frame it as lust. He's turning her virtue into the trap.
Precisely. And this leads us to Act 3, Scene 3, the temptation scene. This is the centerpiece of the play. It's where the psychological poisoning really happens.
Let's break this down because the pacing here is just incredible. Iago doesn't walk up to Othello and say, your wife is cheating. He starts with silence. They see Cassio sneaking away from Desdemona, and Iago just mumbles, huh, I like not that.
It's a masterclass in ambiguity. If he made a direct accusation, Othello could deny it. But by just saying, I like not that, and then refusing to explain, he forces Othello to demand the truth. He makes Othello ask to be heard.
He does this thing called echoing. Othello asks, is Cassio honest? And Iago replies, honest, my lord. Othello asks, what are you thinking? And Iago says, think, my lord. It drives Othello insane.
It's gaslighting before the term existed. By withholding the information, he validates Othello's fear that the truth must be too terrible to speak. He lets Othello's imagination do all the heavy lifting.
And the imagination is always more graphic than reality.
Always.
And then, once Othello is sufficiently worked up, Iago drops the most famous line in the play.
Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on.
It's such a power move. By naming the monster, he summons it. He's warning Othello against the very emotion he's actively injecting into his veins. But why does Othello buy it? That's what listeners always ask. I mean, they've been married for, what, a week? They're obsessed with each other. Why does he turn so fast?
This goes back to the setup in Venice.
Right.
Othello is confident as a soldier, but as a lover, as a Venetian husband. He's insecure.
Deeply.
He's older. He's black. He's an outsider. And Iago presses on all those bruises. He tells Othello, she did deceive her father, marrying you.
Ugh, that line hits so hard. She deceived her father, and so she may thee. He turns the very evidence of her love, her willingness to rebel for him, into proof that she's a born liar.
And he creates this racial anxiety. He suggests that eventually Desdemona will wake up and want someone of her own complexion, and degree. He makes Othello feel like an imposter in his own marriage.
So Othello's just spiraling. He demands ocular proof. He needs to see something. And this brings us to the handkerchief.
The strawberry-spotted handkerchief.
It seems like such a trivial prop.
It does, right. But Shakespeare gives it this massive backstory. Othello tells Desdemona an Egyptian charmer gave it to his mother. It has magic in the web of it. It was dyed in mummy fluid drained from maidens' hearts.
Which super intense.
It is. But it means the handkerchief isn't just a piece of cloth. It's Othello's heritage. It's his connection to his mother, his culture. To lose that is to lose himself.
And Desdemona loses it completely by accident. She's trying to bind Othello's head because he has a headache. She drops it, and Emilia picks it up.
And we need to talk about Emilia. She's Iago's wife. She knows Iago has been nagging her to steal this thing.
Yeah, 100 times.
Emilia's a really tragic figure here. She just wants to please your husband. She says, I'm nothing but to please his fantasy. She has no idea what the plan is. She just hands it over.
And for Iago, this is the holy grail. He says, trifles light as air are to the jealous confirmations strong as proofs of holy writ.
He plants it in Cassio's room.
And then the trap snaps shut. Othello sees Cassio with the handkerchief. Even worse, he sees Cassio give it to Bianca, a courtesan, to copy the pattern.
And to Othello, seeing this sacred family heirloom being tossed around by a sex worker, it just destroys him.
It's the point of no return. We actually see Othello's language break down here. Earlier in the play, he speaks in this beautiful, elevated blank verse. But now
he speaks in prose. He starts sounding like Iago. He's yelling about goats and monkeys.
His mind has been colonized. He's not Othello anymore. He's an extension of Iago's hate.
And he decides Desdemona must die. And Iago, helpful as always, suggests the method. Strangle her in her bed, even the bed she hath contaminated. He wants the symbolism of the marriage bed becoming the grave.
So we move to the endgame. The night comes. Iago tries to clean up his loose ends. He orchestrates this messy assassination attempt in the tree. Roderigo tries to kill Cassio. It goes wrong. People get stabbed.
And Iago just straight up murders Roderigo to keep him quiet.
Which leaves Othello alone in the bedroom with Desdemona. And this scene is just, it's heartbreaking, it's quiet, it's intimate. Othello enters with a light, put out the light, and then put out the light.
He sees himself as an agent of justice here, doesn't he?
Totally. He's not killing her out of rage in this moment. He thinks he's doing the world a favor. She must die, else she'll betray more men.
It's a sacrificial ritual to him. He wakes her up. He tells her to pray. He wants to save her soul even as he kills her body. And poor Desdemona, she has no idea what's happening. She thinks it's about the handkerchief. She says, send for Cassio. He'll tell you I'm innocent.
But Othello tells her Cassio is dead, thinking Iago has done the job. So she weeps. And Othello sees her crying for another man, and that snaps the justice facade.
He gets angry again.
He smothers her. And then the door crashes open. It's Emilia.
And this is where the house of cards just collapses.
Yeah.
Emilia finds Desdemona dying. Desdemona actually tries to protect Othello with her last breath, saying, nobody, I myself killed her.
But Othello can't help himself. He confesses. He says, I killed her because she was a whore. Thy husband knew it all.
And Emilia just freezes. My husband. She repeats it over and over. My husband. It's the moment she realizes she's been sleeping next to a monster. She puts it all together. The handkerchief, the lies.
And she becomes the hero of the play. Iago is there. He's got his sword out, threatening her, telling her to charm her tongue. And she defies him. She screams, I will speak as liberal as the North. She burns his entire plot to the ground.
The tragedy is that the truth comes out 5 minutes too late. Iago kills Emilia for exposing him. He runs, but he's captured. But the damage is done. Desdemona is dead.
The innocent woman is gone. Othello is left standing in the wreckage. He finally realizes what a fool he's been. This honest Iago played him like a fiddle.
His final speech is just devastating. He tries to reclaim his narrative. He knows his reputation is destroyed, but he asks them to speak of him as one who loved not wisely but too well.
Of one not easily jealous, but being wrought, perplexed in the extreme. He admits he was manipulated, but he accepts the guilt.
And then, in a final act of soldierly discipline, he executes himself. He recalls killing a malignant and a turbaned Turk in Aleppo who insulted Venice, and he stabs himself in the same way.
He identifies as the enemy of the state and the defender of the state at the same time. He dies on a kiss. The body count is staggering. Desdemona, Emilia, Roderigo, Othello, and Iago is alive, bound, and silent. He refuses to explain himself at the end. Demand me nothing. What you know, you know.
Which is the final cruelty. He denies us the why. He leaves the survivors and the audience to sit in the confusion.
So let's zoom out. Why does this story still hit us so hard? It's, what, 400 years old?
I think it's because it exposes how fragile our reality is. We build our lives on trust. Trust in our partners, our friends, our own eyes. Othello shows us that if you pull the right thread, if you find that one insecurity, that one green-eyed monster, you can unravel a person's entire world.
It's a reminder that we are all storytelling creatures, and we are vulnerable to a bad narrator. Iago didn't break Othello with facts. He broke him with the story that Othello was already afraid was true.
That's it. That is the core.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought, something to chew on. We spend so much time blaming Iago. He's the villain. But ask yourself this. If Iago had never mentioned the word jealousy, if he had never whispered in that ear, would Othello and Desdemona have lived happily ever after?
Or was the insecurity already there, just waiting for a spark?
Exactly. Did Iago plant the monster, or did he just unlock the door? That's the question. Thanks for listening to this deep dive into Othello.
See you next time.